hello, hello, and welcome to the Rag Company Podcast, Road Edition. This is, obviously this is a rather intimate environment. It's, for those of you listening, you can't see, but this is in our hotel room.
Well, it's Anthony and I's hotel room.
I got
Dane's
one down the way.
In this, chair.
I'm down the way, but yeah, I just figured the best way to set up. I mean, when you got a hotel room, you make do with the space you got. So
well, and it's midnight on Monday night, so
Yeah.
we're in our room. Literally, it's midnight. We got to get up in about 6 hours.
Yeah.
And
I mean, our podcast gear consists of, we got the field recorder here, which I'm speaking directly into as if it's my microphone. You guys got little lapel mics, so you don't have to work as hard. And so we got stuff to do tomorrow. But
quite the setup. Let's recap our day.
Yeah, let's talk about a bit about what we did today.
well, I think that's the biggest thing. So this morning we left a little late today. We didn't leave, crack of dawn early.
No.
I mean, I left crack of dawn early. I left my house at right about 7 o'clock. Headed over. I was going to meet your dad at the rag company at 7:30 because we still had some stuff to get. And he was still like getting packed and showered. So me and John packed everything in my car, and then I left the rag company and headed over to your parents' house. Then I washed the rag Escalade because your dad still wasn't ready to go.
I thought it looked cleaner today.
Yeah, and packed the car. Your mom packed us a nice cooler
Very
with
nice.
some sodas and some drinks and snacks and stuff. So that was good. And then once we got in the vehicle, Jeff and I headed over to pick you up, Dane.
Yep.
And we were on the phone getting our cards, telling the bank that we were getting our cards so we could travel. And Dane said about 8 swear words when he opened the door of the Escalade because you dropped your Pepto-Bismol on the ground.
Stomach wasn't feeling so great leading into today, so I had a little container of Pepto-Bismol. You know how they give you like the little measuring cup that goes on the top, and they don't have any way to secure it on there. It just literally sits on there under its own weight, which frankly isn't much. So I had it on there, and it caught on one of the things.
But
I
he
was trying to put in
literally
the door.
opened the door
and I just immediately started going, and you're like,
I'm
Dane, we're on the phone.
on the phone with the bank.
And I'm just freaking because my measuring cup is about to fall in the dirty asphalt, and it's like, that's gonna,
But anyway, we got you in the car. We got our cards changed or adjusted, and then we headed over to pick up Anthony. So we went over to your house.
To my crib.
You are very close to Nampa.
Yeah, he was debating whether you were really in Meridian or if you were actually in the city of Nampon.
It's I'm pretty well. I guess Nampa. So I think so.
You're like right Cuna Nampa.
It's on the verge.
I'm on Linder and Meridian. There's Meridian and then there's Linder.
Yeah,
this is a little inside baseball for all you guys who don't live anywhere near here.
I'm close to 10 Mile, which is still Meridian though. I think Meridian. It doesn't get to Nampa until you get to Black Cat.
Oh,
I know, but it's pretty.
So I still get some residual.
Yeah, you're just right on the edge.
Yeah, but went and checked out
we got to see your new concrete work.
That's right. You guys had some concrete laid, looking pretty nice. The dogs seemed to enjoy it.
Pretty jazzed about that. You got to see my 2 beautiful golden retrievers.
They barked at Jeff the whole time.
Yeah. I'm right here.
They know who they like and who they don't like. Obviously Jeff is not one of those people. So so we ended up leaving. We stopped over at my favorite Walmart gas station that I go to every day.
Which was actually kind of a fun experience.
Yeah.
Well, I tell people what's nice about those, and and this is just my opinion. You can go into one, get the prices of Walmart, right? But without actually having to go into the store and deal with self-checkout or anything like that.
Well, it's a convenience store. It's a gas station convenience store, but it's Walmart priced.
Yeah.
So,
I like smaller stores like that because you don't feel like you got to go clear to the back.
we could get some granola bars. We could get stuff for like 50 cents instead of paying like the $3 that we'd normally pay at another gas station. So
you see bottled water and it's actually like $1.50, and you go, oh, okay.
It's pretty nice. So I know. I have that convenience going to work every day.
That felt like a plug, but seriously, we just did that.
Be jealous. So no, but anyway, so after that we jumped on the road, and
it was about 9 a.m. or so. 9:30ish, I think, by the time we were on the road.
So we jumped on the road, and it was kind of funny though. I think we just talked through most of it, and we ended up getting through to basically getting to Oregon. Without even realizing we were in Oregon. And
we were just chatting the whole time.
We were talking about it, and then we got there, and then we made a pit stop in Oregon. Yeah. I think we went to like a random
Sumter Junction
rest area, outside of La Grande.
Yeah, went there.
It was beautiful. It was really.
And then we stopped into Baker City.
Stopped in Baker City, had breakfast at the Sumter Junction. And you can see on Anthony, you guys probably still be able to go on by the time you listen to this. Go on to Anthony's. The Rag Company's Instagram. Yeah. And you can check it out. You got a little train action.
Of the train going around the bend.
Yeah. They've got a train, like a toy train goes all the way around the restaurant.
Yeah, inside the restaurant. It's pretty cool. Like, I mean, like, it's like a very novelty thing, but like I
used to go there as a little kid whenever we were on road trips, and that was always something that stuck out in my mind.
I could totally.
It's a restaurant with a train going through.
No, my kids they'd totally dig it. Yeah. They'd think that was the coolest thing ever.
So actually, the breakfast was pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
I liked mine. Dane ended up getting what'd you get?
I got eggs Benedict, the traditional.
You did, and it was.
And you're looking at me like I'm some like highfalutin fancy.
Well, no, it was just a hearty meal, and it looked good.
Yep.
And I was gonna say, for a guy that's drinking Pepto-Bismol during the day,
sure you want to do that?
We did have to make a rest stop.
So, but we continued
Bold move, Captain.
We continued on, and before we knew it, we were in Washington. And
we made it all the way to Yakima for lunch. We stopped in Yakima, Miner's Burgers.
You just call it Yakabop?
Yakabop?
No, Yakima. I said
Yakima. Yo, the first time you said it.
It is midnight. I'm just letting everybody know.
This is when the good stuff comes
I'm kind of I'm loopy right now, guys.
Yeah. And then, but we made it to Yakima. I took over driving before that, though. I drove for a couple hours, so your dad could take a nap.
Yep.
And
he'd been going since like 2 a.m., so he needed it.
Yeah. So, but we swapped and then stopped at the rest area and traded driving, then stopped, got burgers.
Yep.
And then in Yakima, we're only like 2 hours or 2.5 hours away from Seattle. So
that's not too bad.
And that's like, honestly, that's like my favorite part of the entire drive. Is Yakima coming into Seattle, going through Snoqualmie and all that area.
It's a cool little area if you're not familiar with this side of the country.
Coming into
Issaquah, only on the East Coast all the time. Yeah. It is a really cool experience to be able to go through those ranges and see that kind of, picturesque views that just kind of pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, because there's like part of it that like a lot of it is pretty going through Oregon, but there's like just that south part of Washington, north part. Oregon.
Eastern Washington feels pretty different from
it's a little more deserty, a little high deserty action. But this was like full on Pacific Northwest. Like that's when you start hitting all the pine trees. You start hitting all the there's deciduous.
You
and
know
pine.
when you see it.
There's mountain ranges. You get to see the Cascades. Like that's when I really like that part, and that's when I fell asleep.
Yeah,
it's my favorite part of the drive. I fell asleep through it. I remember my head just bouncing around, and I was like, "Oh, I hope they're not recording like pictures or anything."
Yeah,
like fall asleep.
Don't worry, I did.
Yeah, no, I slept for a little bit. I don't think Dane sleeps on road trips. I think Dane's.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm hyper vigilant on those things. I'm always looking around. What's going on?
Are we gonna get into an accident? Do I need to be paying a lot of attention to this?
Well, he needs to be ready to jump out at any time.
If I'm not the one driving, I tend to do a lot of.
A lot of head
on a swivel.
Yeah, a lot of head checking coming from Dane. So,
but what's that other car doing? Yeah.
But anyways, after the beautiful drive, we ended up getting into here. I mean, it seemed like it went by pretty fast in comparison to other trips we've been on.
It amounted to about a 9 or 10 hour drive, but that was with stops and stuff.
No, I mean it was about 9 hours. It was less than that. We drove from like 10 a.m. to like 6:30.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, and we had a breakfast stop and a lunch stop. So
well, and that's the thing is there were stops, that added to it. But all in all, it's not that bad of a trip.
No,
really.
you could probably power through it in like 7 hours.
It was a lot more pleasant than the ride down to Vegas usually is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
would take this drive over a Vegas drive literally any day because...
For those who don't understand, at least when you're coming from Boise, driving to Vegas is basically driving one very, very, very straight road.
2-lane road.
Hardly any elevation changes once you leave most of the town areas, and it pretty much all looks the same.
It's all desert.
Going the whole way down, it's just all desert. Yeah. Which, I mean, if you're into that thing, it's cool, picturesque, whatever, but it doesn't change.
It's a long drive. But the Seattle drive is just pretty the whole... Like, it's a really pretty drive the whole way. Yeah. Like, especially when you enter into Oregon from Idaho and, like, Eastern Oregon. But yeah, no, it was a good, easy drive. But we got into Seattle. We got into your dad, knew where he's going because he's an old hand from Seattle. So he, just said, we'll go through the Renton Way. We'll get back this way, and took us right up to this gorgeous new hotel, the Intermountain Hub. Intermountain Hotel.
What is this? What is this place called? Intermountain Hub.
Interurban. It's the Hotel Interurban.
Hotel Interurban.
This place is like a
fancy.
It's
got
a real
these, like little spotlight, little reading map lights here.
Looking around, this is definitely like
it's got a robot
hipster
in the lobby.
chic. Yeah, we were gonna mention this place has a frickin' robot.
She has a name.
Her name's Hazel.
Her name is Hazel.
Yeah.
We could call her if we wanted to and see if she could come up.
Don't say it too loud. She can probably hear us speaking right now.
She'll bring you a bottle of water or a towel or...
So it's a smart robot.
You gotta explain, because people right now are going,
so what do you mean? So,
what?
So how do I explain this? It looks like a
trash can.
Like a trash can or like a portable air conditioning unit is kind of the best way to put it.
With a
on wheels.
With a display.
Yeah. With a display, and what it does is it basically has wheels, it moves, and it has a little tray that opens up to where it can deliver you something, like whether it's a water bottle, towels, toothbrush, you name it. So when we checked in, I walked over and saw that, and
it said, "Is that a robot?"
Well, I saw the display. It said, press 000 to call me if you need assistance. And I'm like, well, that's weird because there's a charging port for it and all this stuff.
Yeah, it works like a Roomba, where you've got the little home base it charges.
Yeah,
out.
So I walked up to the front desk lady. I'm like, what is that thing? She's like, oh, that's Hazel. That's our robot. She can deliver things. And I'm like, shut up.
You say that so nonchalantly, like that's just a normal thing.
Yeah, and she's like, let me bring her over for you. And so she calls up on her with her computer, and the thing detaches from the charging port, turns, and books it over to us. And I'm
it's not slow. It's fast.
And I'm like, okay, that thing moves. And then
she dances.
Then she opened her lid and started swiveling. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, yeah. She's like, it's pretty neat. And she's like, she can deliver you pretty much anything. Would you want me to dismiss her? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And so sends her back to her charging port. And
we saw her away from her charging port.
Well, and then I was thinking, like, this thing goes up elevators.
Yeah,
somehow
it's able to communicate with the elevator.
Communicate with the elevator.
Wherever.
Get off the elevator and then go to your door. And I'm thinking, does it have a camera? Like, is somebody controlling this, or is it completely automated? It's weird.
It's got to have some basic
Is it going to come in our room
AI.
tonight?
Is it going to haunt us? Like what's going to happen? But
I'm kind of confused about that.
They were saying that this hotel is only 2 months old.
Yeah, it's a brand new hotel.
So it's a brand new hotel.
I mean, when you look around, you can see some of the paint had just started to settle.
Yeah,
there's interesting design features all over this place. Yeah. It's very much like a hipster.
It really is. I mean, like
kind of joint.
I mean, these are triangle light shades.
But I mean, it's everything from the textile, like a lot of glass and
chair
concrete.
You're sitting in.
Yeah, you're sitting in an Eames chair.
Well, yeah, everything is like
kind
of
a
proper mid-century
chair.
modern. I love these.
My dad's got a couple of them.
Yeah, no, they're nice.
So he has in his house. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. But so we checked into here. We checked everything out, and they have a cool weight facility here. Or I guess
nice pool.
A gym room. They have a nice pool. They have a really nice bar with the roll-up doors going out into the outside patio, which is beyond nice.
That's like a full restaurant down there.
Yeah. So
coffee shop.
We kind of checked things out, got a little comfortable, and then we jumped in the car and headed to go meet all of the rest of the Detail
first we went
Mafia.
to the mall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
we did that
yeah.
first.
Get dinner.
Very basic,
you guys went to
though.
Ivar's.
Yeah.
Ivar's,
is that what you say?
I don't know. And then
He's
you
been
guys had
watching
some
too
fish
much
and chips.
Vikings.
Ivarson.
Yeah, and then I went to Charlie's and got a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
And then, and we just kind of wandered around the mall for a little bit.
It was chill.
And then headed over to the hotel that everyone's at.
Yep.
Got to show up when Rennie was starting to talk about some stuff, and got to see the guys from PNS, Keith and Bob were there. Got to talk to, Zenware was up talking, and then after Rennie got done talking, like everybody just kind of hung out, and so
everybody just
we
kind
all
of
got
went into
to
their own
catch
little
up and chat, and it was fun seeing everybody.
Yeah. No, and that was just kind of cool to be able to get some one-on-one time with a bunch of different folks, because when we're there tomorrow and we're working, it's going to be busy. Everybody's going to be working, and we're going to be doing filming stuff, and we'll probably be able to chat with a few of them, but they're going to have their noses to the grindstone, so there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a busy day tomorrow. But it was fun. I got to have a lot of good conversations with a lot of good people that, I already talked to on a normal basis, but like I got to see Chris Woolman, and Chris Woolman and I have been friends on Facebook for, 6 years.
Oh, really?
6-7 years, and we haven't physically met.
Today was that day.
So today was that day, but he's been on a project with Matt Ward, and so he's been able to hook up with Matt and do an event. He got to do witchcraft with Matt.
Right, yeah.
And so it was funny because like 3 years ago, we got to do the witchcraft project or 2 years ago with Matt Ward, my partner, and so it was fun that I got to finally hang out and meet Chris because we've been following each other on Facebook, and we mention all the time. So it's just that's one of these cool things about going to these events is you can have Facebook friends with people, but it's really important to make those. I joke that this year my goal was to just be able to shake hands with all my Facebook friends, at least be able to get a chance to be able to actually meet them in real life.
Yeah.
And
Anthony and I always joke that Levi's superpower is his ability to remember faces and names like nobody else can.
Yeah.
His whole thing is networking and just being able to remember the details that, this makes you, and he's really good at that.
I think I'm really bad at that.
I think it's because you're so good at it that you feel inadequate at it, but you're really good at it.
I will take that as a compliment.
Either that or Anthony and I are just god awful.
No, well, I mean, I'm pretty bad.
I'm terrible.
I'm literally like forgetting your name as I'm.
Please don't ever take offense if I forget your name or your face. I promise, I still like you, and it's not that I don't care. I'm just really bad.
Well, I'm more concentrated by they tell me their name, and I'm more concentrated by. Well, I want to shake their hand and what I'm going to say next. So by the time I get done thinking about that, I'm like, crap, I already forgot their name. Like it already happened.
Because you're too worried about don't sound dumb.
Yeah. Don't forget their name, and what are you going to say next?
Don't think about elephants. What do you think about elephants?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I can't tell people, like, because my biggest thing for remembering things is if I write it down, I will typically remember it.
That's
and I can't say, nice to meet you. Hold on one moment. And all right,
Totally
and
subtle.
we can go ahead and continue our conversation.
Yes,
now that
Steve.
now that I'm analyzing you, so, but
no, it's just I don't know. I've always
he just knows.
Yeah, well, and it probably is a superpower. Like it's something that the other thing I remember, just about every car I've ever touched.
That's true.
That's another weird. It's more of a curse,
and
really.
And I don't think people really realize just how many cars you've actually worked on.
Yeah, I've done a lot.
He's being shy. He's worked on a lot.
Yeah, it's
the way. Are we still talking about cars? The way you're saying this, like,
are we talking about people? I'm saying
I'm just emphasizing because I've heard numbers thrown.
I'm like,
well,
Levi's like 40,000.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying we're gonna go back. Dane's been calling me out on my driving, and I want to reiterate about how many cars have been behind the wheel of, and how good of an amateur race car driver I am. That's what I've decided to call myself. So
every car's a race car if you believe in yourself.
It is. I will say it's weird because I know I learn faces, I learn people, I try to learn something about that person. That's just how I've always been, and like I said, I do think that I'm bad about that because I can't remember, but I'm really good at trying to remember everybody. And so, like, there are people...
what he's saying is Anthony and I don't try.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's something that I really work towards.
No, you're good at it. Truly.
The one thing that I don't ever have an issue with is when I'm, like, was working on cars. I can remember cars. So I can see a car that drives by, and I'm like, I used to detail that. Like,
I know
or
that
I've
one.
touched that car because I've detailed it. And so it's... I'm sure there are other detailers that have that exact same...
there's a bunch of guys who are looking at it going, yeah,
I know exactly, and so like maybe I tout it to having that ability to pick a face and a car and a name and know that kind of thing. So I don't know, but
that's fair.
Either way, it is nice to be able to meet and see everybody at these events. There was a lot of new faces tonight. A lot of guys I hadn't seen from last year.
That are new to this year or possibly just missed
a lot of them are new. I know that.
Yeah, it's like on rotation because sometimes people just aren't there one year and then they come another year. And yeah. So now that we're doing this for the second time and presumably we'll do it in the future too, I figure we'll end up seeing new faces every time.
Yeah.
More or less.
No, and so we get to tomorrow morning. Like I said, like Levi said, we're probably going to get about 6 hours of sleep. Get up in the morning, figure out what we're going to do for breakfast.
Well, you and I will get about 6 hours sleep. Dane's going to get about 2.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
Because Dane's going to stay up uploading this.
I got to put this into the shared drive so that Tim can get it and upload this to seem like, hey, we're still at work.
Yeah, we are working.
We are working. It's just we don't have our computers with us to edit and do all that like we normally do.
That is true.
It's a little different.
So
doing the handoff.
We'll be waking up, finding breakfast, and then heading down to the Boeing Museum of Flight. Hopefully getting there right 8 o'clock in the morning, and then basically kind of
we're gonna spend the day there,
going over everything. Yeah,
be there till 5, checking stuff out, hanging out with people, recording stuff.
Now that we actually kind of know how this works, we're gonna be able to do a better job filming it.
So
I think
the only thing we're missing this year was that we had talked about wanting was our Sprinter van.
Oh yeah, we keep talking about that. One of these days,
we want one eventually. We'll get one cool.
Yeah,
but
then we could have done podcasts in there. We could have been doing
we'll just host them in there.
Yeah, we really could. But
set it all up.
We'll wire it up for that purpose.
The biggest thing is last year when we showed up for this, doing media coverage and then also just hanging out and talking to other detailers, is that we didn't really know where to intervene. Like, we didn't really know the lay of the land, so
you don't want to interrupt somebody in the middle of their work.
Yeah,
like that's just not
it's a big
cool
project,
thing to do.
Yeah,
and these guys got a lot of ground to cover,
and they're working hard. And you can't say, "Hey, I know you're in the middle of that. Do you want to stop for an interview, or can we take pictures of you?" Or and it's.
And on one hand, they'd love to do that, but on the other hand, they gotta.
And it's a total team. So everybody's split up into teams. So it's a whole. Like, you have your team leaders, you have your master detailers, how Randy categorizes everybody there. So, basically, everybody has their particular team. If you were to take one member off that team, that puts a handicap on that entire team trying to catch up with something. It slows
the whole process down on whatever particular area they're
Because
at.
if you guys watch our previous video from last year's Air Force One project, you'll see how they polish these panels, and on a lot of the aluminum,
they call it the dance.
They're in a tandem. Really so basically, they're all moving at the same time. So if you have 3 people in a row to knock out a particular panel, and we pull one of those people, they've just lost a third of their coverage that they would have normally had. So we have to really be respectful of that, but also we want to show you guys listening, the perspective of these detailers, where they're from, what they do. Why they're here for this project. And I think it was really interesting hearing all of that last year, seeing that there was somebody that came from Alaska, right?
Yeah.
We have a female detailer, Diana, who is just awesome and puts other male detailers to shame. Like it's
she's
nothing.
One of the team leaders.
She's one of the team leaders and does an awesome job. It's crazy seeing all the different people.
Came down from Alaska.
Yeah, and there was Jamie that came from. Jamie was in
Tennessee.
Jamie Buchanan.
Yeah.
I'll have to double
check. See if he's here this year. I don't know.
See if he's here, but
like Justin Lobato came from Florida. Mark Elliott came from Florida. We saw Paul came from back east from Connecticut.
Scott
Matcha is from Maine.
Yeah.
So there are guys from all over, guys and gals, from all over the country that come to do this. It was almost 75 detailers.
It's a big crew.
Come for this. So
I think the most impressive part is actually just seeing the outside under the large tent, or not tent, I don't know what you call that. Canopy. But just the ambiance of how cool it is at the Museum of Flight. The way they have things set up, the shadowing and everything like that, especially waking up early. When we were there last year, being there for the sunrise,
there's kind of a cool shadow play that goes on over the course of the day.
I don't really know how else to describe that other than there's shadowing that goes on throughout the day that really sets the tone and the mood of that entire place.
Yeah, it's really neat.
You have things like a 777 and a 747 and a Concorde and a B-17 and a B-29 all under the same roof in this, interesting kind of outdoor but not quite area.
But it was cool. I was saying that I was thinking this was the first year that all the planes had been detailed and put under a cover.
Right.
For the entire year. Yeah. Where in previous years, last year when we were there, they had built the cover, but not all the planes had been fully under the cover.
Right. So they were
part of them had
exposed for longer. Now they had a chance to
all of them had. And they were saying that they noticed a lot of the planes were still looking
really
great.
Good.
Because they had all been protected with Beadmaker.
Yeah.
And they'd all been corrected and then had Beadmaker put on top of them as a spray sealant, and then that's how they sat for the last year.
Yes, guys, you can use Beadmaker on airplanes too.
Well, and that was kind of cool. Is that so? I mean, realistically, let's just break it down like this, right? So generally, we're telling people that with a proper application of Beadmaker, which they're doing on these planes, you would typically expect about a 3-month lifespan, right? Give or take conditions, right?
That's fair.
So let's just say that in Seattle conditions, let's just say it did last 3 months. So 3 months from that point of, the summer, that got you into the fall, and then you just have your winter here, which things are covered. So if there's anything heavy or dense, it's fine.
It's mostly ice.
You have spring.
Condensation.
You have spring coming around, which is going to be probably a little bit of wind, a little bit of dust, pollen. But then coming back into summer, I mean, those planes didn't see a whole lot, Yeah. And especially with having
the roof
and then having the protection of Beadmaker during the most important parts of summer, right? Where any of these planes are seeing any type of, sun exposure or UV rays, that's when the protection matters most.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool that
it was kind of cool to see that a lot of them were really surprised that the planes looked so good, because remember, some of these guys have been coming for 10 years.
Yeah.
This is the 15th year of the project, but there were guys that have been coming for 10 years, and they were saying that's the nicest Air Force One has ever looked.
The first years they came here, it didn't look anything like that.
Well, you think about it, you got a plane with single-stage paint, and the lower half is all polished aluminum, and it's sitting on a tarmac without a cover.
To the elements all year long.
Yeah, all year long. It's sitting out there.
Yeah.
And so it's baking and reflecting, and everything's hitting it.
On that asphalt.
So it would tarnish, so it needed to be heavily cleaned. But this is the first year it's fully under a roof structure, and it's had a nice layer of Beadmaker on it.
Yeah. So that's not. That's not the only plane they detail to. Just for everybody knows this.
People might get the impression that's the only one.
And I think some people do think that is the only plane that they come here for. But
no, they do. They did 18 last year.
Yeah, team of 75 people split up over these 18 different planes.
My guess is they'll do more this year because they're in better condition.
Right.
So they're probably going to knock out even
more.
Or
hit the ones that they didn't hit last year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They need to be freshened.
More because they I remember last year they said that realistically there just wasn't enough time to polish a couple particular planes. So what they would do is they would clean them up and then save that for next year and kind of transition and trade off between the different planes.
Yeah, and pick the worst ones that were
that needed the most help.
And they basically said they corrected a bunch of the planes, then they built half the roof structure over the course of 1 year, and then they came back, detailed the rest of the planes, and then put the rest of the roof structure on. And then this year everybody's come back and they've been under that roof structure. Yeah. And so now they're just kind of picking and choosing, probably based on like a time schedule of when the last plane was detailed, or what's the plane that hasn't been detailed yet, or
I'm curious to see what it looks like.
He said they were working on like 5 different planes today.
Well, because they said that Air Force One was almost finished, which was pretty insane to think that.
The first day they've only been there today.
The first day that they already knocked out that much, but no, it's really cool because every couple hours or so they'll kind of gather around for a quick water break, and Rennie will kind of grab them, basically give them the rundown, tell them the plan for the day, and then they break away for lunch by the time noon, 1 o'clock rolls around, and they have sponsored lunches by different distributors. So I think we are sponsoring one particular lunch, but then there's a few other I think PNS. We have our friends over at Zenware. I think that might be sponsoring a lunch. And then during that sponsor, they give a shout out to the company, which is really cool.
And they said they're doing them live this year.
And they do a live shout out, which is really cool. And then you eat food, and then after that, last year was kind of cool because I guess Chris West, that was right when he released the Solution Finish Fusion Gray.
Yeah.
And he basically gave out the first samples of those to everybody that was at the Air Force One detailing project, and they were jazzed. We still remember to this day. I have never heard people get so pumped.
I've never seen someone so excited about a trim restoring project.
It was good. It was cool. I was like
that's
right
not a bad
on.
thing.
I'm glad we were so pumped. And then,
and it's fun to see like these guys do volunteer their time. They're not getting paid to do this job.
No, they're volunteering.
They're paying for their hotel. They're paying for their airfare. They're paying to be, basically to be here because, they're not. They got to pay themselves. And so. But this isn't. They're not getting paid to do this. This is all donation.
Right.
And so it's nice when they can get something from the manufacturers.
Yeah.
From all the different companies, all the different sponsors can give them, discounts or.
Well, I like it because you're preserving
free samples of product and things like that. It makes it fun.
But you're preserving history for future generations to enjoy. Like that's a really cool thing because. Air travel, it changes, but, there's a lot of history there just in the short time it's been around.
Yeah.
There's the Museum of Flight here in Seattle has got to be one of the coolest flight museums anywhere in the world. Like, I haven't been to that many flight museums, but I just know. Well, this one is awesome.
And what's fun about this one is this is the first Air Force One. So this is the actual...
This is JFK's.
Yeah, so this was the plane that Eisenhower started with. It was silver and orange. It was polished aluminum and orange and said U.S. Air Force on the roof originally. And then they changed the livery. And that's when Jackie...
Jackie had to say in what it looked like.
She picked the color scheme. And that has been the livery for every Air Force One since.
Yep.
And so it was Eisenhower, then Kennedy, then Johnson, then Nixon. And then I think after Nixon is when it... retired, or Ford had it for a little bit.
Yeah, Ford may have had it. I don't remember the exact
because then a new one came out.
I'm going to have to check on that tomorrow.
I think a new one came with when Ford and Carter, because then Carter gave away one of his planes for the Iran-Contra. And that's the one that's down south in Arizona that Larry and Larry Casilla and those guys worked on.
I think that one's called Freedom One.
That one's called Freedom One because when it picked up the hostages, it changed its call sign.
Right.
So this is SAM 1, like SAM 571 or something. So SAM 1 is the one we're working on, which is the first Air Force One.
DOG, if you will.
Yeah, and it's funny because this is the only Air Force One that the public's allowed to go in.
Right, yeah.
So you can actually walk through it, which is really cool because...
You can't do that elsewhere. This museum lets you go into Air
can go
Force
in the Concorde.
You can go in the Concorde.
Which is really dope.
And like the first 747 ever made.
Yep.
And
which
all
your
these
grandpa
other
had
my grandpa had a little say in how the construction of it works, so that was cool.
Well, what they do is they use plexiglass to basically block off whatever areas they don't want you in.
like the office.
So you can see it all. You just can't
mess
with it.
You can't go and touch everything. But I mean,
but you can see it.
But you can. But they only block off so many things. So, if, for example, if I want to say I want to feel the seat here in Air Force One,
I could feel the real material.
You can feel the real material.
Well, and what I think is cool is when you're walking through it, you get to see the technology inside the plane. One of the neatest things is there's satellite navigation on it. Mm-hmm. There was ground calling, so they could make phone calls.
Yeah, you're looking like this is state of the art for the
And
era.
this was 1960s,
yeah.
and they could make phone calls from the air down, and then it had there was one other setup where it was able to communicate with something else. Like it was really ahead of its time. When you started looking at the technology that was in that plane, you were like,
oh yeah,
holy cow.
Well, then you can just compare it to what planes look like now, and you're like, this doesn't look that far off from what we have nowadays.
Yeah. It was
the principles of flight haven't changed much, so generally the airframes remain similar, and they're so effective that they just kind of keep them going. I mean, they update the interiors.
But I mean, even the electronics, though, on that whole thing, like it had all kinds of crazy stuff on it, counterterrorism, and it was it's really neat. I think, we get a little confused when we just think like, oh, this is a plane, this is it, but it's like, well, this did a lot of stuff. Like this flew during the Cold War. This flew like there's a lot of different missions and things that
history here
that it did, and it's pretty wild to be able to just check it out. Like I think that's the most neatest thing is to be able to do that, because you can go down to Arizona and check out Freedom 1. You can go to the Reagan Library and see one of the Air Force Ones, Reagan's Air Force One.
Yeah.
And so you can see all those, like you can see them, but this is the only one you get to go inside of, which is...
And that's worth a lot to kids who want to be able to really see size and scale of stuff.
Yeah, well, like we watch movies and TV shows, you watch Veep and you can see when they're on the plane and they've got like the fake... flying, Air Force One interior that's very similar to the new one.
Yeah.
But you can see, you're like, okay, cool. Like, it's become like a moving office. Yeah. But this was a plane that they literally, like, Jackie O didn't like the bathroom in the back, so she made her own bathroom.
Yeah.
That was a little nicer, so she could go into it. And then you could see the desk, and it's literally just a desk inside the middle of the airplane.
And you're just sitting there looking at it going, the things that were written on this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, and that was a plane that Johnson stood in front of when he took the oath of office after Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of history in that plane, and it's done a lot of different things. So it's just kind of, I don't know. I'm
just glad they let people actually touch the thing.
Yeah.
Go inside and have a look at it, because otherwise they just sit and rot. I mean,
well, and you got to think about it. That's the other reason that the Detail Mafia is down here is to keep it preserved and protected, and so people can come do this, because it gets a lot of visitors every year.
Yeah. Well, and if you need to get something that'll encourage people to show up, there's always the fact that they have pretty much one of the most exotic planes ever made, the SR-71.
They do have
hanging out. They got a freaking Blackbird, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
No, you can't go inside of it, but you can walk right up to it.
You can walk underneath it and touch
indoors. It's not out in the hangar or anything. It's actually inside of a giant atrium, and that's one of the coolest features of the museum, is when you walk into that room and you just look up and you're, oh my God, there's all these planes, real planes, hanging from the ceiling, and all kinds of Ford Tri-Motor over here. You have basically that Volkswagen Beetle with wings that was supposed to be a flying car. You have all this other stuff, and then you look down and there is an SR-71 Blackbird staring you in the face, and you go, that's just as impressive in person as I always thought it would be.
Yeah, and like I said, my favorite plane is that regional Alaskan Airlines jet.
That one's cool.
That is, or not jet, but it's like
it's a prop.
It's a propeller plane. Yeah. But it's from like the 30s or 40s, and it's like a passenger plane.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it looks
so sketchy. Like,
it's like, this is very nice wood.
Yeah, like I keep thinking like those lights on the wall on the inside, like instead of these little sconces,
they're
like,
it's
did
hilarious.
They light candles? Like what?
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. It's like, there's a breeze from outside. Came in and put out my candle.
Yeah, like that's about what it feels like. But it's an electric light bulb. But it's just funny because it looks like you're like, they basically, these are wooden,
and then you just imagine
seats.
What it must have felt like to fly through a storm in that thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Anthony's having
I'm over
tremors
here,
over
I'm over here like I have a hard enough flying through a small amount of turbulence on a new plane, let alone that.
No.
which is crazy. But
you're flying a stagecoach essentially.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It's a Wells Fargo in the sky.
That's what it looks like. And then the motors are super like I don't know,
huge and big, and it's a big rotary the big rotary plane engines, but.
Sorry, guys, it's almost midnight here. Yeah, we're having fun, but if we yawn a lot, that's just what happens.
But no, I'm excited just to go check out the rest of the museum that we didn't check out because we did most of the museum when we were here.
Oh, and they've got space program stuff there too.
Yeah, that was also really cool. We actually got to go see. I think to a certain point where you can walk inside one of their test capsules that they've built.
They have one of the capsules that came back.
Yeah,
well, I think when I was a kid, I don't know if they still have it, but when I was a kid and came here, they used to have like either the prototype. I know there were only a couple lunar rovers ever made, but
cool.
They had the one that stayed here, not the one that obviously went, but they had the one that stayed here.
Yeah, no, but they have one of the re-entry pods.
Yeah, they got the pod.
It's all scorched and burned from through re-entry. It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
No, so it's got a bunch of cool. So if you haven't been here before, definitely check it out.
It's worth a trip.
It's worth coming out and looking at it. Even if you're not into this kind of stuff, I think you'll appreciate almost all of it. Yeah. Just because it's all super interesting.
And then there's an active airfield outside.
Yeah, I think the whole museum is more active than most in general. Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can go up to so many of these things and literally just put your hand on it.
Boeing's like right here. So.
Well, and it's on the Boeing property.
Yeah.
And it's the main part of the building is the Red Barn.
Yep.
That was the original Boeing offices when they first opened up.
Yeah.
That's part of the museum is the old Red Barn.
Yeah.
And that's their engineering barn that they built. And
which reminds me, because last year after you go further into the building, I don't recall it being there when I was a kid, but the expansion where they actually show like going through all the eras of different wars from World War I up through everything, and you can see all these old planes like a Sopwith Camel and all this stuff. Really cool, yeah. And Tiger Sharks they got the real planes in there.
Yeah, they're just hanging.
Super cool.
Awesome. It's also neat to see the stuff from World War I.
Yeah,
and going like, holy cow, people were flying those things.
Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like you got the Fokker DR1, you got the Sopwith Camel, you got all these other ones out there. It's crazy.
What's great is they were guys that were literally dropping like grenades on people and from the airplane.
Well, that was your version of bombing runs was literally just like pick it up out of the cabin where I was sitting and I drop it.
Yeah, like that.
That's it.
And it's all canvas. And so there's a guy with like you're low enough in the sky that you're dropping bombs on grenades on people, but they can also shoot you in your canvas plane.
Yeah.
And if they shoot your plane, the plane's body is not going to stop it from hitting you.
Yeah, you're flying around in a sheet.
It's just a little fabric
balsa
wood in the wind.
Yeah, balsa wood and canvas.
Yeah.
We'll have to take more video so people have reference as to what these things look like.
Well, we'll take video where we can. I don't know if they'll let you go through the whole thing, but definitely when we're outside where they're working, we can get a lot of that.
Yeah, no, it's so cool though.
I guess going back to the detailing portion of that, since we haven't really talked a whole lot about detailing, I think the process, what they're using, is the same thing they did last year, which was Showroom Shine, which is basically like a
Showroom Mist.
Showroom Mist, which is basically like a quick detail spray. So they're basically detail spraying the planes, and then they're following up with their polish. I think they're probably I would assume they're using buff and shine pads this year. Last year they were using wool pads followed up with orange foam.
Yeah, they were using buff and shine pads with PNS wool.
With PNS wool, okay, that's what it was. And so they're using that, and I think the product, are they using?
They're using all PNS, like Eagle Maker, and jewelry and all that stuff. They're I don't know how much correction they're working on, but what all they're doing. But it'd be interesting to see.
I think it varies depending on the aircraft, depending on the severity.
I think so. I think they do test spots. I think before they even touch anything, they do a test spot to determine which products they're going to be using on which. Before they continue on. But I know that the last step on every one of the planes is bead maker.
Yeah, everything gets bead maker.
And what's cool, though, is that the way they set out the product for a mass detail like this is they set it out on a table to where they have spray bottles with
everything.
I mean, I don't know.
The entire PNS line.
75 like, spray bottles for each product. I don't even remember how many.
It's like swag bags had a convention, except it's all product that is there for the taking to use.
And everybody's got detailer helper belts.
Yeah, they got detailer helper belts, and they
load
have
up their belts.
5-gallon jugs worth of product. So they have like the 5 gallons of bead maker and things like that you would go up to and essentially just refill your bottle.
Yeah.
When you're done.
Yeah.
And so
makes it a little easier.
So it makes it easier to fill up and keep going, but they do inventory.
Yeah, they do an inventory every year of everything.
Because you're just dealing with more square footage of detailing work than...
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and then
almost anything else.
What we donated last year, so we did Terry's. I believe they were yellow Terry's, if I remember right. On top of a few others, and so
we did miners and creatures.
Yeah, we did 70-30 miners, and I think the miners people absolutely love for the metal polishing. And then at a certain point, we said, okay, guys, everybody retire your Terry towel. We're gonna bump it up. We handed them a creature, and they lost it. They loved it.
Yeah. So this year we brought back yellow Terry's and blue creatures again.
Yep.
Well, it's a good combo because I think the Terry's.
It's a style people are familiar with.
Being a very familiar style, being a very universal towel, and a little bit more cost efficient as well, that people can use those and abuse them. Yeah. And I think some people really got that because Rennie, I remember last year we pulled him aside and we were talking about how people were using the towels and if they were, what the style was. And he was saying that it's disappointing because some people don't use all of the towel on a project like this. They'll do a wipe on one side and then set the towel aside like it would be a high-end detail on a car.
Yeah, and they've got to use all 8 sides.
And they said that, you got to flip that towel over and over and over again until every side is covered before that is determined to be a dirty towel.
Yeah.
And that's when you would hand them a new towel. But it was interesting to see how, that's how they're tackling it. And I think that's great because the towels are more than capable of doing that.
Easily.
It's just most people nowadays, because of, how many microfiber towels people have, doing a couple wipes, that's good enough before retiring it, and that's how a lot of people feel.
Yeah, but they're laundering all the towels, and so there were a bunch that got laundered. There were some that they just threw away. Yeah. Because they got too bad with, certain products. There was a lot of oxidation on a lot of the planes last year, and so a lot of them got pretty hammered, but
I don't think it's going to be as bad this time.
Yeah, there's still a ton of towels in inventory that are brand new, haven't been used.
Yeah.
So we're going to add to that inventory, and everything stays here.
Yeah.
The guys that fly up can bring their own tools. They usually have go boxes that have padlocks, and they fly with their own polishers and all that kind of stuff. But Flex donates machines. We donated towels. PNS donates products. Buff and Shine donates pads. And so that all stays. There's a shipping container here at the Museum of Flight that the Museum of Flight houses here all year long inside, and they just fill that with all the product. Yeah. They take an inventory at the end. Keith did the inventory last year, counted up every individual towel, every individual spray bottle.
Yep.
How many gallons,
3,000 all right.
Yeah, he writes it all down, and that's how they know what they have for the next year, and then they basically try and re-up the order so that they have enough.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see all of this stuff on a mass level because, there's few projects in the world where you're going to have this many detailers that are up at this professional level doing something like this and working together. And it's crazy because,
teamwork is cool.
It's cool, but it's also one of those things, one of those experiences where you watch the interaction between these people and you think, wow, this could be a reality TV show because sometimes it does. It gets a little heated. It gets a little intense because these guys are out there working. It gets hot during the day. Let's just say one guy isn't picking up the pace where he needs to pick up the pace, and if one person falls behind, they try to do their best to help him out. But people get frustrated. I mean, you got a bunch of guys out there, and it's just so they might get upset and say something, and you're sitting there like, wow, there's some definite interaction going on right now. Yeah. And even Rennie knows that. Rennie's like, oh yeah, when we get out there, we get pumped up. Yeah. As Rennie says, they're a bunch of badass detailers. As Rennie says it, So.
Well, one of the things that maybe people are like, oh, why can't any detailer come do this? Why does it have to be a Detail Mafia
Yeah.
event? Well, it wouldn't matter if Esoteric had this account. It'd be the same style. Esoteric would train people.
Yeah.
They would want to deal with people that had come to their training that they've actually spent time working on a car with.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because then you can vet that person. You know what their skill level is. And, or let's just say Larry Casillas starts his own training program to go do a job like this.
Yeah.
He would pick his own people. Mike Phillips did that for Competition Ready.
And you're also overlooking Matt Mormon of Obsessed Garage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say any other detailer out there probably wouldn't understand the concept of the Obsessed Garage and how those people's and how not those people, but how their brains work, right? They are obsessed. They really do care about this stuff. Yeah. To where if you have somebody that gets in there that does not agree with how they do things, that they're not going to fit in.
Well, not going to fit in. You're not going to know the style.
Yeah.
So if Rennie comes in and teaches you, trains you, you take his training, you know how he is as a trainer.
Yeah.
He knows your work ethic. He knows how, your skill set. So he can vouch for you.
You understand the dynamic of how things are going to function.
If you get 75 guys, detailers in the same room together,
you better hope you're all kind of on the same page.
If you trained all of them, they should be pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's for anybody.
Hopefully, yeah.
Like, if I train 75 guys, I better hope that they're all capable enough to do this job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's the biggest thing. So if that's always the scariest thing, and a lot of guys, like, maybe they don't think about this, but if you're detailing cars all day and you're hiring another detailer, you've got to train them.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't just turn them loose and go, all right, clean that car.
Okay, here you go.
Because it's not going to end well. They're going to just vacuum it. Maybe they wash it, throw some spray wax on it, go, okay, it's all detailed. You come out and you're like, that's not a detail.
Yeah, people's definition of a detail can be very different.
Those guys
vetted. And since Rennie did vet those people, and this event has turned into what it is today, because back in the day, it was Rennie and two other people doing the whole planes by themselves.
Yep.
Right?
So they'd come out here for like 3 weeks at a time.
So he had to put them through that program to know that they were capable of being able to do this, and that he would want them out here in the first place. And so it's not just. I mean, he did this himself with the help of 2 other people with these giant planes, and to make it faster, but still to make it efficient and still contain that same amount of effort and quality, you need people that are on the same page and literally on the same page as you.
Yeah, it's pretty. So there's a reason for it. There's a reason for that madness, and I mean, even Jose Fernandez, when he goes and does some of his projects, he tries to vet each guy, whether he's worked with them or he knows them personally, or he tries to vet, because it's scary. You may get a guy that just shows up and hangs out on his phone the whole time. Literally doesn't hold a polish.
Great. Why are you here?
Yeah.
I feel bad enough doing media stuff out in the Air Force One field, because
we're out in the same hot day, but the difference is we're not doing backbreaking work on these planes. We're holding cameras and walking
Dane,
around.
Speak for yourself.
We had to do engine number 4 last year.
Hey, that's right. I filmed you guys doing that.
Well, we're gonna have you jump in there, Dane, this time.
Dane,
boy, it's a good thing I'm no good at detailing.
And we're gonna hand you a 3401.
And yet I run a detailing podcast.
And let the engine bay there and get to polish it.
Yeah, unless you rip on that, but no.
I'm secretly good at this, but I just don't want to let him know.
Yeah, he's a pro. But we're looking forward to jumping in. We want to help, and it is
we'll
fun.
See what happens tomorrow. Who knows? They might let us. They might not. They might have everything covered.
Yeah, they may be good.
It might be all done, and they're like, "Sorry, dude."
Yeah.
And I'll say it's okay. I'm going to go inside and go dust off the seats. I'm going to go. I'll take care of the interior this time.
Yeah.
I'll wipe some plexiglass, but. Yep. It's a really cool experience. I guess wrapping it up, if this is something that you're interested in, or you're even this sounds like something you'd want to do, because there is some people out there that love plane detailing.
People find out about it every year.
Yeah. So I mean, this is something where you just you go to Rennie Doyle's website,
Detailing Success.
You could sign up for his training down in Big Bear, and then once you do that. I think it comes down to just being invited to this and showing that you're ready to take on a project like this, and so
and also attending these projects, participating in webinars, participating in more trainings, things like that, moves you up in the Detail Mafia.
Yeah.
And as you move up and attend more and more of these, like we said, there are team leaders or crew chiefs for each. They each get divvied up like 4 or 5 different plane projects. But each of these guys is and gals is, the best of Rennie's team because they volunteer the most or they participate the most. They care about what happens within their own organization known as the Detail Mafia.
Yeah, but the ties with the Detail Mafia and the IDA are also really close.
Yeah.
I mean,
Justin Lobato, the president of the IDA, is a Mafia member.
But I mean, it's not. I don't want to say they're so intertwined towards like you have to be one or the other. It's just every member of where we're at today is also an IDA member.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing that same compatibility between. It's the same people.
Yeah.
A lot of the same people that you know and love from the IDA, but they're also happen to be part of the Detail Mafia. And kind of have this secondary gig. I don't know how else to describe it. Where they come out here and do this, and it's probably not something they promote all year long, but when it's relevant, and they're doing something pretty cool. So
this is it's a really fun experience to be out here.
Yeah, no, we're excited. It's going to be cool.
We'll see what it looks like this year. We don't even know because we haven't been over to the plains yet, but we'll see that tomorrow. But saying that, it is almost midnight now. So
actually, it is 12:35. It's after midnight.
Okay, well, we've been chatting a while. Okay, well, we got to get up early, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get this wrapped up, and we'll catch you in the next one. So, guys, as always, if you're watching, you're probably on YouTube. By the way, I noticed more people subscribe to the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel. Good job, guys.
Party!
This is the official first episode on that channel, which is where you'll be finding our podcast main shows and Detox Casts podcasts from now on. So that way we're not cluttering up our main channel with, long form content like this. You'll have more of the stuff you come to know and love as far as like product demos and that sort of thing. But this way the podcast can kind of live and breathe on their own on a place where people are going to that channel for that specific purpose. They want the long content. So that's what that's going to be there for. So anyway, guys, if you haven't done it already, go to the Rag Company Podcast. That's the name of the YouTube channel. And Adam, it's in our featured channels on the Rag Company channel on YouTube. So all you have to do is look up and check our featured channels. Anyway, guys.
Subscribe.
Thanks. Subscribe, leave a comment. You know the gig.
Yep. Leave a comment on iTunes, too.
Yes, on iTunes, if you can leave a review. I know I'm just going to drag this out forever, but please, just put that out there. It's always great when people do that. So, any rate, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We will catch you next week.
See you guys.
See ya.